Nitro on the road this time for Nitro's Take, and yes, tonight in Detroit they had the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This is Nitro's Take on the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, the first event held at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Opening match, the Hype Bros versus Benjamin and Gable. I want to see more of Benjamin and Gable. I don't know why they've been off of WWE TV for a while, but they need to be on WWE TV more. Benjamin and Gable are your winners tonight in the pre-show. Changing my angle up, that's a little bit better. Awesome. Alright, the first Hell in a Cell match was the New Day versus the Usos for the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships. The pacing was good. Was it match of the year quality? I don't know. It doesn't really match up with the AJ Cena match from the Royal Rumble or the Tyler Bate Pete Dunne match from the NXT TakeOver in Chicago from earlier this year that are like the two big contenders. It was a great match, don't get me wrong. I thought that both teams actually brought up a lot of great double team moves, and just it was a beatdown. It was almost like an old school Attitude Era hardcore match with all the weapons and the plunder and that stuff. These two teams worked great together, and it was awesome to see them work well together. So Usos are your new SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions. Good for them. Keep it rolling. Randy Orton versus Rusev was up next on the card, and that match was very snoozy, especially after opening the pay-per-view with such a vim and vigor like we had. To put those two out right after was a little bit of a snooze fest, unfortunately. So I didn't really enjoy that match as much. Orton got the win in the matchup, and you know, yay, that did what it did. U.S. title triple threat, AJ Styles, Ty Dillinger, and the one and only Baron Corbin, who ended up walking out with the belt in this one. Not too bad, okay match. It was, and just Corbin, since losing the Money in the Bank, is kind of an enigma a little bit. It's, with him, you'd kind of wish that other things went on where, you know, the company had him in mind to go for the WWE title, but then you can see now why they didn't give him the title shot anywhere down the line, because he is still very dry as a heel and not very flowery with his language and stuff. And I think the biggest healing he does is on social media. Sometimes they were even mentioning that during Talking Smack tonight. So the match itself, pretty well, I would say. Just the pace started out really snoozy. Switch hands here. Pace started out real snoozy, but it ended up ending really nice. So, you know, kudos to everybody involved in that match for putting it on. I have to say that the Little Caesars Arena is a great looking live venue for WWE. With the roof, even with the lights and that stuff, is something I have never seen before. The roof itself lights up, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if that was a WWE thing or if that was a Little Caesars Arena thing, but hey, that's good for them. So, hey, Corbin moves on with the U.S. title, and we move on with the pay-per-view. You know, 3 matches in, you have that real stellar Hell in a Cell to open up the show, and then you got 2 kind of semi-snoozy matches, and see what else was up. Women's match was next between Natalya and Charlotte for the women's title. Again, another real snoozy match that a lot didn't happen, a lot didn't occur during that match. There was a lot of psychology on the knee that Charlotte had during that match. Actually, Natalya was working with Charlotte on the knee, or working on Charlotte's knee, I should say. Long night, everybody. And it kind of ended anticlimactic with Natalya using the chair to get herself disqualified. So I don't know what that's going to lead to, if that's going to lead to a rematch at Survivor Series where there's no disqualification, or what's happening along that front. But again, another snoozy kind of meh contest. WWE title match was next between Jinder Mahal and Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought that match was actually a lot better than the SummerSlam match. As the seasons change, as you can tell, me standing outside of this nondescript place, there's some chain link behind me to give some, you know, a little bit of thing. There's one light is my main source, and behind me is a tower, I believe, of some sort. It's a lot colder. It's not summer anymore, so we go back to SummerSlam, the match they had in SummerSlam. I think that this match was a lot better than that match at SummerSlam myself. I thought it told a better story this time around. I think Jinder's really hitting his stride as the heel champion. I think the Singh brothers are an excellent addition to his act, and Nakamura himself is a good challenger. I would not mind actually seeing a third match amongst the two, but it has to be it. There has to be a third match on a pay-per-view to end this trilogy. Maybe that's at Survivor Series. Maybe it's at the next SmackDown brand pay-per-view in December, or at Starrcade. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a cage at Starrcade that they're building up to. Either way, there's got to be that third match. I have a feeling that that's probably the case, is they have that match booked for Starrcade in the cage between Mahal and Nakamura. I think that's probably going to be our third match. So, hey, that's a good build to lead up to that, for sure. I have no idea what they're going to do for Survivor Series, but we'll see what happens. So, hey, moving on. Dolph Ziggler versus Bobby Roode. This is Bobby Roode's pay-per-view debut for WWE, as he was involved in numerous NXT TakeOver events. You had Dolph Ziggler, who was also involved with this feud off the beginning, and of course was doing a weird thing with using everybody's entrance music and that stuff. Did not come out to any entrance music at all tonight, which is kind of a cool, refreshing thing. He said he didn't need it. He was the best in-ring performer in WWE, didn't need no entrance or anything like that. Very old school of him. I loved it. The contest itself was kind of a little longer than I figured it was going to be. I thought that it was really going to be cut for time because they sandwiched it between the WWE title match and the main event. And so I thought they were only going to get 10 minutes at the most, but they gave them a solid 15 to 18 minutes. So it was a real nice match. Bobby got the win, which is great. And it doesn't hurt either act at all. Bobby's stock goes up, and Dolph Ziggler kind of, remains that mid-card heel that they want on SmackDown Live. So, right on. Then, of course, the main event, which was Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens in Hell in a Cell. And man, what a match. The ending was unreal. Sami Zayn pulling Kevin Owens out of the way of the giant elbow drop after Kevin took the big half cage bump off the side through the first table, and then Shane went through the second table. And don't forget all the work on top of the cage that the guys made is something that will be long lasting. I think if there's any match of the year contenders that come out of this pay-per-view, I think honestly Shane and Kevin should be up there. Now, that's not taking anything away from New Day versus the Usos, but I think Shane and Kevin's match told a better story. I think it had a little bit of a better build, believe it or not, than Usos and New Day, and it was I think the stakes felt higher for that match. It felt like a more important match on the card than the New Day versus Usos match, which it was, and that's the way it's supposed to go. So, hey, I loved it. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens back together, maybe as a union. We'll see what happens going forward, and hoping for the best for Shane out of that one, because that final fall, if you haven't seen it, there's gifs of it on my Twitter at Kellen Nitro. It's ugly, and probably not something advisable. We'll just put it that way. So my final thoughts on Hell in a Cell 2017 was it was a very passable 8 out of 10 solid pay-per-view with a few snoozy matches during the middle of the show, but bookended by 2 amazing Hell in a Cell matches and a very good debut performance from Bobby Roode. So there you go. I'm Kellen Nitro. I got to get back at it. I'll talk to you guys later on. Happy wrestling watching and later days. Thank you for subscribing to Nitromaniac TV, and we'll check you. Have a good one.